Aaron.
Yeah.
Why didn't you say it the first time I said Aaron?
Because it's pronounced Aaron?
You done messed up, Aaron!
Aaron is present. I'm joined by channel favorite Captain Tommy Scoville. How's it going, Tommy?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. How you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for joining me yet again. Before we get going, let me plug Tommy's YouTube channel, The Lifeboat, at The Lifeboat, the story of how a convicted bank robber and addict came out of prison a changed man with a dream. This is how Captain Tommy started The Lifeboat. So check that out. Fantastic content over there. I was contacted by a deputy sheriff who works in the jail where Danny is, and it has some information. I'm not going to share the entire email. I'm going to read from it. Like, I'm not going to screen share this.
Right.
This is from a deputy. This information comes from a deputy sheriff who works in the jail. He's brought Danny Masterson a meal here and there. No big story there. But he says that Danny is really in the medical section of the jail, which gives him his own room and gives him his own shower. It says Danny is entitled to go outside each day, but he doesn't. Is there background noise on your side?
I don't think so. Hold on.
Is there someone talking? Now it's muted. Now it's muted. There
now we good?
Okay. I just heard someone talking. I didn't know.
Okay.
Danny's entitled to go outside every day, but he does not go outside. The yard, quote unquote, in the county jail is on the roof. It says if Danny were to go outside, he would basically be standing in a cage separate from the general population. Instead of going outside, Danny sits on his bed all day reading, nothing too eventful. Now, I forwarded this email to you, and you had some thoughts on this, but I also have some questions before we get into anything. When it says the yard is on the roof, if he were to go outside, he would be standing in a cage separate from the gen pop. There's something about that sentence that confuses me.
Okay.
If the yard is on the roof, what does that mean? The yard is on the roof. That's where gen pop is. But because he's in medical, he would be in a cage. Like, I'm confused.
So what happens is this, you're entitled to go outside and get recreation for 1 hour a day, 5 days a week. They guarantee you at least that. So since he's not in a normal place, right? What they do is they take you upstairs to the roof where you literally are put in a dog kennel. It's a big one. You know what I mean? It might be 15 feet long and 8 feet wide, but you're in a kennel outside. And that's what they're calling the yard, because there's no yard proper, but that's what they're calling the yard.
But why would they say that he would be in the cage separate?
Oh, what he means is this. Sorry, I missed that part. So when you go out in these, let's say you walk out the door, on the right or the left, there's going to be a series of those things that go 20 deep, 10 deep on each side. And then they've got 1 or 2 freak cages that are over to the left, right? So completely separate from everybody else so that people can't spit on them, do anything else, because the people who are put in those cages need to be protected.
I see.
It's probably the reason that he's not going outside is fear.
Right. Okay. Now, a lot of people I saw in the live chat as we were getting ready to go live, were speculating that Danny's in the medical ward or under medical watch because he tried to unalive himself. You're saying, no, that's probably not what this is. What are your thoughts on it?
It could be the case, but in there, it also says that he sits on the bed and reads all day. If you are on the unalive watch, you are not reading anything, right? They're not allowing you to have anything in the room. I don't know how they think a book will take you off the planet, but they do. So they're not allowing him to have anything if he was on that. I think that this could be one of those cases where maybe they're just trying to protect themselves with a high profile inmate. Figure, we'll just keep him away from everybody until we can ship him the hell out of here.
So is that the best way to do that?
Or he's legitimately needing medical care. Now that could be psychiatric, that could be anything. And a lot of people in the same situation he is in will play the medical card because anything they can do to get away from, the cells where everybody is screaming, and I don't care where they put him, he was going to be taunted. He was going to be hearing things. People were going to be yelling. There's a chance he's still hearing it there, but a lot less, in the medical facility. It's very strange that they say he has a shower in the cell. That's really kind of odd because they don't do that usually in medical. Maybe this is just an isolation cell that they use, which happens to be in medical. They may have some places where they bring high profile people. If he's in medical, as opposed to having the normal door that you would normally see in a prison, there's going to be a much larger window on it, right? They bring those people down so that they can observe them 24/7. He would not have the ability to unalive himself. It would be very difficult with everybody watching.
In your experience, if a jail wanted to, the executives, I was going to say shot caller, but that means something else in prison. Okay. The powers that be, if an order came down from up on high, we need to make sure there is a 100% chance this guy does not get hurt or touched before he's sentenced and out of here. What would you, absent this email, what would your guess be for the best, most effective way to make sure Danny gets to sentencing without being injured?
This is actually a pretty decent way. Whatever you do, you got to put him in a cell that has his own shower, right? Because if not, 3 times a week, you got to handcuff him and walk him through a hallway. And bad things happen when people are not in their cell. So they're going to have a trap on the door that they hand his food through. He's not leaving that cell. He's probably been in there since the day he was sentenced. Probably has not left there for any reason. If he left, it was to go down and talk to his attorney, for an attorney visit or a visit to his wife. But no, it sounds to me like he's either being protected because they want to protect him, or he's terrified. And, this is a card he can play in a county jail. If he says, you got to protect me, they'll protect him. When the next yard, that's not an option. You know what I mean? You just can't do that in the, he's going to the big leagues, and it's a bad situation for the dude. He painted himself into a pretty good corner here.
Yeah. Okay. Now you mentioned to me before we started that if Danny's in the medical section, what would you call it? Medical ward, medical section?
They just say medical, and it's
medical.
universal. Everybody just calls anything that has anything to do with it. It's just he's down at medical or he's in medical.
So you said to me that if he's in medical, there's one thing he's doing for sure.
He is talking every day, every single day. The people from Psych are coming by, and they will probably come by in 3 different groups. Literally the doctor himself, who oversees the entire program, will come and see him once every single day. Then he'll have like a caseworker that's assigned to him, and usually 1 or 2 interns who are going to come by during the day and practice, on the incarcerated people. But no, he's got a lot of people from the medical community, the psych medical community, who are visiting him on every day.
Wow. So my question was going to be, if the prison execs decided to stick him in this place just for his own safety, and it wasn't because he was making any claims or requests, would he still have to speak to the psych staff?
If they're just hiding him, there's a chance he's not speaking to. But if he's in medical for any reason at all, then psych's coming to see him every single day. And most institutions, if you have the word life in your sentence, right, they're already watching you, because people who are getting, they call it the L, but anybody that's getting the L is usually they're high risk for unaliving themselves. That's really sort of desperation, and best of circumstances, he's still getting a life. So they're probably watching him pretty closely. And I've been in places where once you leave court, you go to the watch with the Barney Rubble suit and all that, whether you like it or not. You're spending the first 24 hours after, because that kind of sentence makes people makes them harm themselves. Happens a lot. Right.
So it just seems to me, Danny Masterson ain't the biggest celebrity in the world. He's not the biggest celebrity going through LA County Jail. Would it surprise you if Danny's presence in medical was because someone on high decided this is the best, we got to protect this is going to make us look bad if something happens? Would that surprise you, or do you think that's actually likely?
No, you know what? It wouldn't surprise me at all. I think it's probably pretty likely. This is one of those situations where what he got sentenced in June, right? It was like June something.
June 30th.
Yeah. So they know they got a short window. All they got to do is
May 30th. May 30th. May 30th.
May 30th, right at the end. Yeah. So they've got a short window. All they got to do is protect this dude for a very short period of time, and then throw him off to the prison system and let them deal with it. It's like we talked about on one of the other videos we did, that each station along the way has a whole new group of people that he has to deal with, right? And right now he's dealing with people who are probably a little bit more jumpy in terms of trying to protect them. You don't want somebody to get hurt while they're awaiting sentencing, right? That's pretty awful optics, you know what I mean, for the jail. So if they were just looking for a cell that they could throw him in, if they have one down in medical and that's just happened to be where there was a cell with a large window and a shower, I mean, they could have been putting him in there because of that. Again, if he was on the watch, right, which is when people want to take themselves out, you're put on the watch, there would be somebody sitting directly in front of that door 24/7 watching him. So it would be pretty obvious, and he would not be sitting on a bed reading a book.
Very interesting. So truly, they wouldn't even give someone a book because someone might paper cut. So they might try to scrunch up the papers into a million balls and swallow them all or something.
It's been done. I'm telling you, it's been done. If you can think about it, it's been done. But if you're on the watch, you don't have a bed. I'm not kidding. When I say there's nothing in the room, usually for the first 48 to 72 hours, you're not allowed a toilet or a sink in the room. You are in a room wearing a dress that is Velcroed at the top and at the sides, so that if you tried to do anything with it, the Velcro just comes off.
What if you got a shit? What if you got a shit?
You knock on the glass, and a team of 3 officers come over. One gets on either side of you, and one basically leads you so that you're in a pyramid formation. Then they bring you in there and watch you. Stand there while you do your business, and then they bring you back and put you back in the cell. Unless, of course, you just have to, if you got to just go one, they've got a little portable urinal for you on that one. It's very civilized.
Got it. Now, you mentioned in one of our earlier videos that once Danny's team announced that he had decided to cooperate with the pre-sentencing investigation, you said that would also, if I recall correctly, require speaking to a psych. Is that
absolutely? If he was that's all that would mean. If he says he's going to cooperate, what that meant is literally, I'm going to talk to psych. There's nothing else to cooperate with on the pre-sentence investigation, right? All of the other stuff can be done without your help. The only thing that you need to participate in is when they come in and do psych, or the probation officer, but usually that's a tandem, right? The psych person is sitting in there with them, and they fire a bunch of questions at you. But if he's cooperating, he's damn sure talking to a psychiatrist or a psychologist, or both, on a pretty regular basis.
I got to tell you, I think Danny probably spoke with a psych for the pre-sentencing investigation and was like, oh, they didn't immediately try to lobotomize me or shove drugs down my throat. This wasn't everything I thought it was cracked up to be. And I think he might even have loosened up and been like, sure, I'll talk to someone. What could it hurt? I mean, look what I'm facing. I mean, maybe it's his best chance to have someone to talk to.
Or he said while he was talking to them, I'm very seriously considering dropping this body. And if he had said that to anybody that was a professional, he's pretty much guaranteed where he's going to be spending his time for the rest of the time that he's there. People say stupid things like right after the sentencing, I swear to God, I'm going to, myself. And, people say stuff like that all the time. But if you happen to say that there, they go, oh, okay, we got a place for you. No bed, no toilet. And you get to wear a dress.
Wow. Hey, as far as having someone to talk to in there, and I guess for right now, we're talking about, were you ever in medical?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I spent 30 days on the watch.
Oh, okay. So you know what the hell you're talking about here. For sure.
I absolutely know how that procedure works.
Wow. So if he's in there and he wants to just chat up a guard because he's lonely, he wants to just chat about whatever. Are the guards allowed to chat?
The guards wouldn't, just because of time constraints. You're not going to have a guard that would have enough time to shoot the breeze with you. Not in that situation. If you were in a unit, You could basically go over by the cop's office if you wanted to talk to him. It's frowned upon in a pretty big way on both sides, right? The guards don't want to talk to you because it looks bad on the camera. Like maybe we're saying, hey, bring me in a bag of dope and some cigarettes, right? They don't know what you're talking. So cops don't want to talk to you. And the other inmates get really salty when you start talking to cops. The assumption always is that if you go up there and even if you talk to him for 2 seconds, that you just said, hey, Aaron did it, right? And walked away. That's the assumption every time. Or you got something in your cell. You're just a rat. If you talk to the cops, you're a rat. It's not fair, but it's how it's done.
Wow. Well, the reason I asked that question is because it just dawned on me that maybe Danny very quickly realized that one, talking to Psych is not the end of the world, and two, it's the best opportunity he's got to have anyone to chat with at all.
And I'll tell you something. It's his last and best opportunity to ever speak to a woman again. You know what I mean? There's probably not going to be a whole lot of prison guards in there that are women, not in the unit that he's going to be going to. I got to believe they're smart enough to not have women anywhere near the that particular unit, right? But he literally could go the rest of his life and not have a conversation with a woman. And there are a lot of inmates who realize the first time somebody from Psych comes around, and I'm not trying to sound like a weirdo, but when you're in there, the place smells awful, right? From the second you walk in to the second you leave, that experience stinks. And the first time you sit down and talk to somebody from Psych and you go, right, this is the first time anything has smelled good since I got arrested, and there are a lot of guys who do spend as much time as they possibly can talking to Psych. I think it's addicting for some people, to have someone to talk to that especially won't treat you like a dirtbag. When you're in prison, almost everybody you see that's a staff, either they're a guard and they're not going to make eye contact, or they're free staff. And when you see them, they're afraid of you. The look that you see is fear in their eyes. And that really drags you down too. You know what I mean? Seeing that every single time you look at somebody will start to destroy you for real from the inside. It really starts to take you out. That was one of the worst parts of the whole deal, truthfully.
Wow.
But
wow.
I definitely see this guy talking to Psych. I mean, there's no way he's parked down in medical and not leaving a good paper trail.
Right.
They like to document the hell out of everything.
How does the system treat it if you have some inmate who's just constantly, perpetually, for years or whatever, claiming to want to unalive themselves just so that they get into this area that's a little more pleasant to be in?
You know what? That's a really, really good question. It does not come up very often, but it does come up. There are people who are terrified and they do everything they can to work the system. And literally what happens is they will take you someplace where they put you in a Velcro suit and stick you to a wall. And I'm not kidding. I knew a guy that tried to pull this card. He had a 25 to life sentence, and he tried to play the crazy card. Sorry, that's what they call it. But he tried to play the crazy card. And eventually what they do is they get you there and they hit you with a really, really heavy drug, one that will keep you unconscious for days, like Halidol. That's one of the ones that they use, but give you a great big shot and stick you to the wall and let you basically act like a infant, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah, they'll clean you up in about 4 days. So after a couple of those visits, the guys usually do I'm not doing that ever again. Like, they up it. You put your bluff in and they bluff a little bit harder. And most guys give up on that idea pretty quickly. They make it very, very unpleasant.
Wow, I'm so glad I asked you that, because I've been wondering that for so long. It just seemed like it's such an easy way to play the system, but they're like, oh, you want to play? We'll play.
Yeah, exactly. When you take it to that level, they are going to make sure that it won't happen again. That will be the last time. And very often, the guy that tried to pull this card, he said the warden came in and said to him, all right, look, I'm not buying any of this. So what is it you're trying to do? Is there a specific yard you want to go to? If you tell me what you want, maybe I can facilitate this without you having to wear a diaper for a couple of weeks. You know what I mean? And like literally just sort of tried to intervene on this thing. You have to realize that guys literally are sitting around, just like you just said. It seems like a very easy way to protect. There are guys sitting around and that's their only thought. How am I going to get you, a week in here without somebody stabbing me or punching me or hitting me in the head with a lock or any of the things that can happen to you in there, and people do drastic things. A lot of guys, I was talking about this on a video the other day. A lot of guys walk in, and the second they get in there, they say, you know what? I have never been the right gender. And it happens a lot. And it happens a lot with people that have that particular crime. Because what happens is it's going to basically pull you out of, you're going to be put in a place with a lot of other people who are doing the exact same thing. So there's going to be a lot of people in there that are taking, he would have to get on, drugs. He'd have to go all the way. He'd have to, be fully committed. But there are people who do because they think the other option is, what, I'd rather be a woman than dead, I guess, but
wow.
I think I'd rather drop the body.
Wow.
It happens a lot. I'm not kidding you. Like it's an epidemic, and it's an epidemic in California. Their prison system's been racked by it.
Incredible.
But it's really interesting that they've got him in medical. It's worse for him. It really is. It's worse for him because what's going to happen is he's isolated now in a little bubble, right? Normally what happens to somebody is they get in trouble and they're waiting to go to sentencing and all that. And they got a guy in the room with them, right? All the time. And that guy is sort of getting you used to the idea that this is what I'm going to have to live with. Some idiot in a box with me who's going to talk around the clock. And this is the rest of my life. He's going to get none of that until they're putting somebody in his cell who could be a stone cold killer.
Oh, shit. He's not even getting to acclimate to what the rest of his life is going to be like.
He's going to go from the safety and security of this to when he walks in. Let me try to stress just how messed up this is. When he walks into the unit, at least half of this unit isn't going to be in their cages, right? Half of these guys are going to be out in the day room, milling about, watching television, playing poker. That's what he's going to walk into. And depending on the yard, it could be the entire unit. So somewhere between 65 and 130 guys are just going to stare at him. He goes walking in that door, and they're going to say, "That guy over there, that's your new roommate." It's not open for discussion. It's not. Yeah, they really have set him up for a rugged first day in prison. Normally jail does get you acclimated, to at least the concepts, and it's usually a little harder in the jail because you don't have any kind of freedom and you don't have any kind of access to things to read and stuff to do. But he's not getting any of that. He's getting put in a room all by himself with a book to read, and yeah, he's gonna have a very bad first day. Wow.
Now, when you said it might be his last chance to, speak to a female, once he gets to the prison he's going to, he will have be allowed visitation, right?
Yes. Yeah, he will be. He'll be allowed visitation. Now, I don't know how the level 3 and 4 visitation is going to be, and you don't know if he's going to. I think he's going to get a level 4 yard. I don't know how they do the visitation. Where I was at that level, the first, I don't know how many visits are between glass. It's you and they sit on the other side of a big thick piece of glass, and you talk on a telephone. I mean, you're looking at them. You put your hand on the glass. It's torture.
That's what you mostly see. That's what you mostly see in the movies.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what you see in the movies. And yeah, it's torture, and that's probably what he'll have in the beginning. Eventually, he's going to be able to go in there and see his wife. And sometimes that's worse, man. Honestly, sometimes that's worse.
That's something interesting to consider. And by the way, I think you explained this to me. People who are in prison for what he's in prison for don't get conjugal visits.
No, never going to happen.
Unless it's with your cellmate.
Right. Those kind of conjugal visits he could end up with.
And people, guys, I'm not joking about prison rape. I'm talking about consensual relationships.
Consensual, absolutely. That's
yeah.
It's not something I joke about either. It's it's not as prevalent as people think it is. Honestly, it doesn't happen, but when it does, it's just horrific. You hear something like that and you think, you lose all faith in humanity in a matter of seconds.
Yeah. And many people think the problem is when you drop the soap. That's not the problem. It's when you pick it up.
That's right. It's exactly what it is, right?
Yeah.
Or don't have a heart attack. When I was in the special management unit, a guy had a heart attack, and when when the police went to get the guy out of there, his cellmate had already started to call the conjugal visit. Yeah.
No.
And the guy he didn't have bad paperwork. Like the guy was not a weirdo up to that point, but he every race in the prison, he was green lighted. The first person that can get him without permission, any of that. It was considered one of the most foul and vile things I had ever heard. But yeah, true story. It happened.
Oh my God.
Yeah, pretty messed up. You think you're having the worst day ever, right? And then when the cops show up, they got to pepper spray the entire place before they can come in. So you're in there having a heart attack. This is not your best day. You know what I mean? Like this is definitely not a banner day for you. And it just keeps getting worse.
Even in the prison shows, and I'm totally blanking right now on what some of the most popular prison shows
Locked Up. That's a big one.
Even in the prison shows, I've never seen them put that in the script.
No. I mean, it's like I said, it really is rare. And all of the time that I did, you don't see it. And when you watch movies, you think it's going to happen constantly. The violence you see isn't of that nature because people just sort of really look down on it. You know what I mean? How can you be mad at the people coming in for doing that, and then you're going to do it to somebody, right? It's at least everywhere I've been, it's been considered like you can get killed for that bad form. And it's a pretty sick thing. I don't joke about it either, but
yeah,
he could very easily decide that having a boyfriend might not be the worst thing in the world.
Right.
That happens.
Right. It's funny how hung up Scientologists are in general on the subject of LGBTQ, anything like that, when their fundamental belief is that we are all immortal, spiritual, genderless beings who just happen to be occupying bodies. I think it's a reflection of just how sort of homophobic L. Ron Hubbard was, particularly of the time period.
Yep.
That the truth is, if you truly believed, the core fundamental beliefs of Scientology, there would be nothing wrong with being LGBTQ anything.
Right.
Okay, so look, based on the email that I forwarded you, I didn't read the whole email, but I did forward you the email. What questions, if any, would you like me to ask this contact to either better understand what we've already heard, or what other information do you think would be really interesting if we could get it?
It would be really interesting to find out how he got into medical. Like, did he put in, they call it a kite. You fill out a piece of paper, right? Anything you write on a piece of paper in prison for whatever reason they call it a kite. But did he fill out a medical kite? Is that what he's doing down there? Did he threaten to unalive himself? Just really quickly, if all we need to know is how he got there, and the rest of it should tell the story itself, right? From that point on, they call it a lockup order. What does his lockup order read? How did he get into medical? That would be the question.
Okay.
And if that's hard, what's he wearing? Right? If you can tell us what he's got on, that's probably a pretty good start too, to give us
even the color or anything other than
color,
the color,
right? If he happens to be wearing the Barney Rubble suit, then obviously he's on the Unalive program, and maybe they're letting him have a book on top of that. I don't know. He's a celebrity.
Is there anything you wanted me to clarify about whether there's really a shower in the cell? Would that really clarify something for you?
It's maybe the county jail does that. I've never seen a prison that had a shower in the cell at medical. Usually they just take you out of your room and, you go down the hall and whatever. And I had a couple of surgeries. I got stabbed. Like I've been in and out of medical in prison before, but I've never seen one that had a shower in it. So that's kind of odd. But again, it's also a county jail, right? This isn't really a home. It's a stopping station on the way to his home. So yeah, I'd just be curious to know how he got down in there. If he's got anything in that cell, what kind of property has he got? Right? Is he got a radio in there? Is he is he already starting to try to get acclimated, or is he just in there reading? Because when you see people really, sort of withdraw into themselves, it's never a good thing. It really isn't. It's never a good thing. He's going to have to at some point go, all right, this is my life. This is what I'm stuck with. And I got to buck up, or yeah, he's going to have that come to Jesus moment. And it's going to be rugged, especially because of how they've done him at the county jail. They're not doing him any favors. They're really not doing him any favors.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Hey, let's jump on. We got some super chats in the queue here. Terry Ray says, my heritage helped me bust through a 20-year brick wall. Thank you. Well, Terry, let's chalk that up as a win for SPTV's newest sponsor, which is My Heritage. That's awesome.
Love it.
Terry, you got to email me and tell me more about it. growingupinScientology@gmail.com. I'm looking forward to hearing what you're able to find out. SPTV Tattoo Warrior, who got a new tattoo? Oh my goodness.
That's
Barb, you got to send me a photo, send me a video. I gotta see what this one is.
Yeah.
Colleen, thank you for the super sticker. John Sostovsky, just wondering, Tommy, is the worst part of marrying a lawyer the fact that you have a wife that argues for a living?
You know, to be really honest, she was pretty good that way. Honestly, I think, you know, there was that she used to say all the time, as your lawyer, I'm going to advise you not to do this, and that got kind of old, especially because at that time I was not being a particularly good person. So about every 15 minutes, I got the, you know, as your attorney, I would advise you not to do that. But no, that one's all me. I can't even badmouth her. I'd love to, but that was pretty much all me.
Well, that's nice of you.
Yeah.
Flyaway 65. Can Danny hoop his e-meter? What does that mean? Is that a special thing? Is that stick it in your prison wallet?
It is, yeah. Taking it to the hoop is the expression that they give. If he can, then he might want to think about something more productive to put up there and make his sentence a little easier.
So that'll be the newest YouTube challenge. Can you keister an e-meter?
Right? That really would be something. You know what? People do cell phones. You'd be shocked some of the things that make it in there. Cell phones. I was always pretty blown away by that.
They don't call it the Mark 8 Ultra for nothing. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so this is an interesting question, and I have an answer to this. Is there a Masterson mugshot? I'm told that this will be released after the sentencing.
Yeah.
I'm told for whatever the guidelines are, it cannot be released until after the sentencing. I don't know that I fully understand why. I mean, we see other people's mugshots, if you know what I mean. I don't know the reason, but I'm told after he's sentenced, the mugshot will be available.
And they usually show up right after that.
Yeah. Okay, Brian S. Seriously hurt equals compensation and or guard leniency. What does this mean to you?
Seriously hurt. I'm not exactly sure.
I think it means if Danny were to be seriously hurt, would it equal?
Oh, I got you. You know what? They just don't want the ink. They don't want people coming in to investigate. They don't want, you know, people traipsing in there and saying, how is it that this thing happened? Like where Mr. Epstein did his last stand. They shut it down. Like that floor, nobody can even go to. And it's going to stay that way for a really long time. So, you know, people, they just would like they want everything to just go like this, right? I've actually gone to a prison yard before and had the warden take me in and say, you've had 3 write-ups in the last 2 years. And I was like, you know, everybody gets, you know, it's nothing where I just came from. And he's like, we haven't had anybody get written up here in 9 months. And I thought, I'm going to be out of here by Friday. You know what I mean? But they take a very personal interest in making sure that their yard runs exactly the way they like it. And if you do anything to buck that even slightly, they try to get rid of you. I think they're probably hiding him from as many people as they can until they can get him off their doorstep. That's my opinion. I could be wrong.
Makes sense. Cody Mack, if a Scientologist voluntarily cooperates with a psychiatrist or psychologist, does that typically result in an immediate SP declare? Excellent question. The answer is no. So the problem to a Scientologist for being involved with a psych, or God forbid, from the perspective of a Scientologist taking medication, you don't get declared a suppressive person. You actually get labeled an illegal pre-clear, which means it is illegal to audit you. You're not allowed to get any auditing this lifetime. Now, for most people, it's like, how can I get on that list?
Right.
But for Scientologists, it's considered you're being condemned to an eternity of amnesia, at least for this lifetime. They'll give you another shot next lifetime. Now, right. in someone's case like Danny, it wouldn't be like him not wanting to speak to a psych is just because he's been programmed to believe that these people are essentially brainwashers. I mean, a Scientologist believe that psychiatrists just, you walk in the door and they strap you to a table and pump you full of drugs and stick an ice pick in your skull. That's right. What Scientologists think, you know?
Yeah. And a little electroshock therapy just for grins.
A little electric thought. Yeah, exactly. And so for Danny, in this case, if he were to simply cooperate, and even if he spent the next 10 years speaking to a psych, but if he never took any medication, and if he got out of prison, and if he was not a declared suppressive person just for, you know, having been gone to prison, which going to prison does not automatically get you declared an SP. So him, theoretically, in a world where he spends 10 years speaking to a psych once a week, and he gets out of prison, and I'm just saying 10 years because, right. I mean, so he's still young enough to, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Technically, he could still be a Scientologist and get auditing. Technically. I'm just according to the letter of the law. That's my opinion on it. Okay, rural SD lawyer. Aaron, I sent you an email about the divorce question in your last video. Rural SD lawyer, I saw the email come through as I was sitting here, and I'm looking forward to checking out what you had to say. Jem's journey. Won't he be in a yard with other SA abusers? Go ahead.
Absolutely, he will. But what you got to realize is that a prison is going to have somewhere in the ballpark of 1,300 to maybe 2,400 or 2,500, depending on how large the yard is. They're not going to have 2,500 people who are SAs, right? They're not going to have 2,500 of them to stick in that place. So what you're going to get is there might be 300 or 400 of them in there, right? That's sprinkled between the 10 to 12 units. And then the rest of it is going to be people who got thrown off of the normal main line, right? They can't go back to main line because let's say they get attacked by one of the largest prison gangs out there. For the rest of your career, you can't go anywhere because that gang will have you unalived, right? Quickly. So you get sent to a yard just like the one he's about to go to. Now, doesn't mean that person all of a sudden is no longer dangerous. It just means all of a sudden that person can't go mainline. So he's going to end up on the same kind of yard. So there'll be a lot of SAs there, but there's no yards. I don't know of any yard anywhere in the world where every person on it is an SA. I don't know. You could find a guard to work that place for real. Like that would be very difficult to find staff that would want to be anywhere near that place.
Right.
Frightening.
Right. Okay, next one here from Shelley Swanson. Tommy, do you think they put him in administrative segregation for his protection?
Well, it sounds like ADSEG, you know what I mean? It really does sound a lot like he's in, and he's certainly segregated, right? So he's probably in, there are two types of segregation. There's disciplinary seg, and then there's administrative segregation. So if you do something wrong, you can get thrown in the hole. And sometimes they just say, we're worried someone's going to kill you, we're putting you in the hole. That happens. And because there's a shower in the cell and everything else, it sounds to me almost like they've got a holding facility and it happens to be on medical. So there's probably a big piece of glass in the front of it, to make sure that people can watch him. But he's on a bed and he's got so yeah, I mean, that's pretty likely. That's why if you can find out just what got him the med, how did he get there? Was it his doing or somebody else's?
Sorry. Oh, I meant.
And he's going to be on psych meds. How's that? I'll tell you that too. He's going to be on psych meds, and it won't be long. I promise you. He'll be on psych meds, and he'll be on them fast. Because if he can't sleep, right? If he really struggles with sleep, they're not going to write him a script for Valium, and he's not going to get Lunesta. They're going to give him psych meds, and he's going to meet people in the unit that say, "Oh, if you're trying to go to sleep, tell him you want this one." I promise you. You got life. He's going to be taking some pills.
Yeah.
I'd be really surprised if he didn't.
RV at the beach. Off topic. Loved your short with Cornelius. So I published a YouTube short video today. It was actually originally from JP Sears, who's got a huge channel on YouTube. And so many people sent me a short that he published yesterday. It was a joke. Cornelius, the alien, who's the aliens you learn about on the OT levels. And I chopped it down to a much, much shorter version. But thank you, RV at the beach. I thought people would love it.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Selena Michelle, love SPTV. Hit that like button. Guys, if you're one of the over 3,600 people watching live right now,
good Lord.
Do me a favor. Hit that like button, please. It's fast. It's free. It's easy. And it actually does help. The numbers have been crazy this week.
That's a big house.
Yeah, it's been wild. Guys, before we wrap it up, let me wait. Do I still have? Is it still your channel on there? Bada boom. Tommy's channel is The Lifeboat, at The Lifeboat. Check him out. He's got fantastic content over there. Guys, Tommy and I are both going to be in Los Angeles next week for Danny Masterson's sentencing.
Yeah.
I'd say come and join us, but it's a really small courtroom, and I'm sure 10% of the people who are already planning on showing up will be able to make it in. Luckily, I've got a press pass, so I've got a guaranteed seat. Tommy, I hope you can make it in. You can make it on the floor, no problem. I hope you can make it into the courtroom. But otherwise, let's go.
Either way, I still wouldn't miss it.
Let's go hang afterwards. We're going to go do something.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, guys, thank you everyone for joining us, and thanks everyone who watches until the very end. Talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click What? Inside here. If you have 6 squads or not, subscribe